Hooked on the Palm Beaches is brought to you by Discover the Palm Beaches and Palm Beach County, the best way to experience Florida. Welcome to another episode of Hooked on the Palm Beaches. This morning we've got a really special time for you. I'm with RJ from RJ Boyle Studio and we're heading out sword fishing. RJ, what have we got in store for us this morning?
You know, the funny thing about this fishery is you never know what we have in store. We could be heroes or zeros, Cap.
Right.
We can go out and catch a 500-pounder, or we could come back with our tail between our legs and have nothing. So it's going to be what it is. I have butterflies. I'm fired up, like, you know, we all are. And we'll see what happens.
There he comes up. Woo, look at that. Pretty fish.
We got a big one, boys!
I don't think it gets any better than this.
I just cannot believe how many fish there are here.
This is why you come here. This is why we do what we do. Off of Palm Beach, bro. This is the kind of Jurassic Park stuff that lives out here. Woo! We did it, Bubba.
It blows me away the fishing opportunities that we have in and around Palm Beach County.
Some of the best game fishing that you can have in the entire world.
So everything's pretty serious and quiet right now because RJ wants to get a bait right on the bottom as soon as possible. You'll notice we're real quiet right now because these swordfish have excellent hearing, and although they are hundreds and hundreds of feet down, they've got really, really good hearing, and RJ has instructed the entire crew to be silent with just the soft purr of these 250 Suzuki engines on top of the surface, which gets them all riled up down there. Right, RJ? Shh.
Speed up.
So you know, you'll get some people when you say you're going sword fishing with electric reels, they'll say, oh, well, where's the fun in that? That can't be too difficult. But this is amongst the most technical fishing you can do. And these swordfish are really elusive. RJ, tell us what we're doing here.
Basically what we're doing, and we're on the first drop of the day, we just dropped down. And right now we're fishing a group of rocks, okay? And understand that in South Florida, here off the Palm Beaches, we have a lot of current. Your average current here is about 3.5 knots moving in this direction behind us. So though the boat is pointed into the current, we're moving backwards. And anytime, James, when you're doing this type of fishing, when you mention electric reels, understand that in order to be able to learn this game, to drop a lead down with 3 or 4 knots of current, electric reel was a must to be able to learn. So though we do both, we hand crank when the current, allows it, but realistically for our conditions in South Florida, you see a lot of the electric reel. And he's right in that most people think that, oh, you push a button and the fish comes up?
Right.
Well, you're gonna see shortly that that's not the case. There's a lot of finesse, there's a lot of technique, and so it's a very difficult fishery when you first get started. We just hit the bottom. Our first redrop was 200 feet just to go back down to the bottom. We have 2,350 feet of line out, and we're in 1,672 feet of water. So we have 400 foot of scope. So let's drop it back to the bottom here, 2,350. And now this is going to tell you how our driving is, our angle, all of those things are calculated. That's why we're so quiet when we first get out here, because we're trying to really figure this out. So 2350, I'm dropping back to the bottom at 2500. So that drop was 150 feet. Our driving is getting dialed in so we can maintain putting this bait where we need to put it. Understanding that the optimal depth off the bottom is about 100 feet.
Gotcha.
So we're not fishing the bait on the rocks, we're fishing 100 feet off. To make it simple for you, I have a lucky spot. I call it James 1. It's right back here. But understand, we're drifting in this direction. So right now, I'm trying to hit James's spot about 4/10 of a mile to the north of us. So I've got to set up to the south of that, figure out how to position the boat so we drift right over that spot.
Wow, well, there's a lot more to this fishing than meets the eye initially. Let's see if we can catch one.
Stand by.
We'll be right back.
Hooked on the Palm Beaches is brought to you by Discover the Palm Beaches and Palm Beach County, the best way to experience Florida. And by Engel Coolers, the original high-performance cooler company.
and by pelagic high-performance offshore gear.
You ain't dancing, you ain't getting bit, dog. Oh, you tried me again. You see that?
Yep.
All right.
All right.
All right, here we go. We got a bite. Basically, we moved the bait down. He didn't react to it. But we started winding the bait back up and he cracked it right there at the end. So we're gonna go back down a little bit, see if we can entice him. Again, I'm feeling the speed of the spool to see if he picks it up. If he picks it up, a lot of times the spool will speed up or it'll slow down if the fish starts to swim up. So that was a very aggressive second bite there. So we're gonna have to see what happens here. Cross your fingers. Come to your left a little bit, Cap. If you zoom in on the rod tip, that rod will really start to load and then we'll back the boat up to take the bow out of the line. All right, let's give it a shot here. Yes, back up, back up. All right, he's on. Back forward, Cap. Go forward. All right, so he's on for this a second here. Let's see. I'm backing the drag off and we're letting the fish do his thing. So we've done what we can do as far as hooking the fish. Now it's a matter of driving and waiting them out. You got two in gear, Cap?
Yep.
So what we've done by driving the hook at about 30 pounds of pressure is done. So basically it's a game now where it's a finesse game. If he wants to run, let him run. If he wants to come, then get line on the reel. Right now, this fish is still taking line off the spool. Probably a nice fish.
Wow.
And all we do now is watch that tip, give it to him when he wants to go, and we can get it when we can get it. 3,700 feet of line now. It's a lot of line, Jay.
That's a lot of line.
All right. Most people want to bend the rod over.
Right.
We want the rod to go straight like that.
Right.
So we take the pressure off the fish. All right, ease up just a little bit. Turn to your right just a little bit, Cap. So this fish is sitting on the bottom right now, way up in front of our boat. He doesn't know what's going on. He's just sitting there along the bottom, kind of swimming, and he's dragging that lead around, so he doesn't know which way to swim.
Wow. So now it's a waiting game, right?
Now it's a waiting game and it's a finesse game. It's really, we want the fish to swim the lead up. Here's the trick to daytime sword fishing. I'm gonna let you in on a trick, James. You ready?
All right, ready.
As we start to regain this line, okay? We're driving the boat extra hard towards the fish so that the lead, that big lead, drops below the fish. If we can drop the lead below the fish, then the fish will swim in the opposite direction of the pull, which means we can wind the whole spool up slack. So with the rod straight. And really that happens at about 2,000 feet of line. So we got a ways to go before this thing really knows what's going on.
We got a long way.
You got a long ways to go, Cap.
Well, we've got one on. Stay tuned for another great episode of Hooked on the Palm Beaches. We'll be back to try to see if we can bring in this sword. Good job, Cap.
All right.
On this week's hotspot, we're taking you to Snook Island's natural area in the Lake Worth Lagoon. Snook Island's natural area is in the Lake Worth Lagoon. It's in the southern part of the lagoon. It is about 100 acres of restored habitat. The project was initially done back in the early 2000s, and we've been adding on to it ever since then. What's really interesting about Snook Island is it's created seagrass habitat, oyster reef, and mangrove habitat. And we're seeing species come back to the southern lagoon that haven't been there in decades. We're seeing those sea trout come back. We're seeing the redfish come in. It's a great place to go catch some snook, topwater stuff in the early morning, late in the evening. So a really, really exciting project and a great place to go wet a line.
Hooked on the Palm Beaches is brought to you by Discover the Palm Beaches and Palm Beach County, the best way to experience Florida. And by Engel Coolers, the original high-performance cooler company. And by Pelagic high-performance offshore gear.
You know, the one thing I can say about doing this, James, is that after all the years of doing it, we've sat out here and had no bites, and there's been days where we've caught 8, 9, or 10 fish.
Right.
So it's one of those things, if you're not really a fisherman and the fishing's slow, it can be really boring, quite boring.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a full day affair so far.
Absolutely.
I mean, we could easily have gone back at 4 p.m., 4:30, we would have missed this bite.
That's right, that's right.
It shows that perseverance pays off. Right?
Well, we hope so. We're going to let's cross our fingers, and
Paid off so far.
we've done what we can do to hook this fish.
Exactly.
So if the fish is hooked, well, we'll catch him. If he's not, we won't.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is. You hear people get so bummed out about losing fish or whatever. That's part of this game. I mean, the big game marina, when you're fishing for something like this, hopefully we'll get a chance to see this thing. And a lot of times they'll be jumping all over the ocean, and one second he's here and the next second he's there.
Right.
So it's unbelievable just to be able to experience it. Now, what I can tell you, because we were talking about it before, the electric reel, we hooked this fish with over 3/4 of a mile of line out.
Crazy.
And we saw the bite.
Right.
Think about that. How do you see a bite that looks like a snapper bite from that far away? That's how, because you got to have the right gear to be able to do this. You got to have the right rods. You got to be able to have the right tackle. If you look at Palm Beach and you look at this area we call the fingers here, the bottom rolls up and down. These fish love to get in those little valleys, and they'll sit in there and ambush prey. And right off the inlet here, Jupiter Inlet and Palm Beach Inlet, that's what we call it. We call it the fingers. It's perfect for daytime sword fishing.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Well, we're back to 3,000 feet of line.
Oh, we're getting close.
Getting close.
This will be your first one if we get to catch it.
This will be the first
so,
one, yeah.
So here's the exciting part. You know, after catching a lot of them, I'm really pulling for you. I truly am. I'm praying that we get it so that the crew gets to see it, or whoever we take out gets to see all the things that we've seen. Now what's happening is he's starting to get more line. This fish is starting to react a little bit different. We're in high speed, and here comes the fish.
That's the fish coming up.
Remember, we have a 12-pound lead on here, so that's not 12 pounds.
Wow.
So that fish is
Swimming it up.
Absolutely.
Otherwise it'll be bent more.
That's correct, correct.
Wow.
So look at this, swimming it up. Now every time that rod goes to bend, James, I'm stopping to allow him,
letting it go.
let him keep going. Now just to give you an example of when we talk about the fish is going slack, I'm going to stop hitting the button. When I stop hitting the button, watch the rod tip. We're slack.
Nothing.
There's nothing there. That's the hardest thing for people to do. They want to do this.
Right.
I want to do this. Judging by the way this fish is acting, hopefully we'll get to see her, because I think she's a nice fish.
Woo! All right. We're now at 600 feet.
600 feet, we're slack here. So this is going to get pretty hairy pretty quick.
Wow, amazing. 550 feet and counting. Wow.
Give me some more.
160 feet and she's come tight. So that fish swam up 3,000 feet of line plus right to the surface here. And fast. I mean, that was probably 10 minutes, 15 minutes, all the way up to the surface here.
Lead man.
Wow.
Turn to your right. Turn to your right. Yes, sir. Yep. There you go, you're gonna get to see her here in a second. Yep, okay, she's right here. Here we go.
Stay tuned for more Hooked on the Palm Beaches.
Whether it's sport fishing for the serious angler or a leisurely day for the family, the charter boat fishing fleet in Palm Beach County has a trip for you. You can choose from inshore or offshore, saltwater or freshwater. Hiring a professional captain and crew for your next fishing adventure will guarantee a good time and fresh fish for the table. If you're into catching and not just fishing, check out the Palm Beaches charter fishing fleet today.
I don't think it gets any better than this. We're fighting a broadbill swordfish off of Palm Beach. Look at the sun, it's flat, calm. This is what we live for. This is down here. This is why you come here. This is why we do what we do. This is gonna be a tough one. Coming right back up. So this is gonna be a tough one, James. We've seen the fish several times. It looks to me like she's hooked right here in the peck. So we're not pulling from her face, we're pulling from her arm. So this is gonna be a tough one to catch.
It's just amazing how strong these fish are. You know, we've been fighting this fish now for half an hour, 45 minutes at the boat. Now she's got all her energy and she's taking another run. There we go. Getting some line back here.
Swimming straight up. Yeah, she's really erratic, this one.
So tell me what it is that you love so much about these fish in particular.
I'll tell you the truth. It's when it started years ago at night fishing. Out here, it's by far the biggest thing that's fun to catch. So, and it was such a challenge that, you know, to me, here we are. You know, there's not a boat in sight out here, James, and all of a sudden the rod bends over, and it's like that allure of the bite. You know, what is it? You know, most of the time it's a swordfish, but sometimes it's a mako shark, and sometimes it's a bluefin tuna. You never know what you're gonna hook, and I guess for me, you know, I just love big fish fishing, man. To me, the baddest fish in the ocean, I have such a respect for this fish. It just amazes me.
This is one of the most important aspects of sword fishing is the driving. So you've got to have a really skilled crew on board. You've got to have a person that can throw a harpoon and gaff a fish really well. You've then got to have an excellent driver who's got to keep that line away from the boat. And you've also got to have somebody managing the electric reel the whole time and watching that rod tip. So a lot of stuff going into this in terms of technology, and it's not just as simple as just reeling up on an electric reel. There is a lot of work and a lot of detail that goes into this type of fishing.
Good job, Mike. Doing a great job on the wheel. Stressful, ain't it?
Especially when you're being filmed.
So of all the thousands and thousands of fish species in the ocean, there are less than 30 fish that are able to regulate their body temperature somewhat. And the swordfish is one of them.
Here she comes.
Beautiful, beautiful.
She's still swimming around right there. There she is. It is a nice fish, that's for sure. Put it in gear, put it in gear. She's coming to us, put it in gear. Here she comes. To your right. Never mind, keep going. See the bait now? Oh boy. There she goes. Keep going to your right. Keep going to your right. She's going back down. And you thought we just pushed the button.
She's going again. It's amazing how long that sword is. You know, you look at the fish in the water and the sword is almost the length of the body.
It's crazy,
it's
isn't
incredible.
It? Yes, she's got a nice sword on her too.
Yeah. So the scientific name of the swordfish is Ziphius gladius, and gladius is the Latin name for sword. They're actually not that closely related to marlins as many people would think. They're in totally separate families. What a spectacular fish. It's going to use that sword to dull and stun its prey, often killing its prey with the sword before it'll eat it.
Ah, tough fish, man. Keep on coming around, Cap. Back to her a little bit, Cap. Nice and easy. Spin the boat on a dime right here. Stop. You gotta put a little drag on her. See if we can't inch her up here. Be out here all night. The longer you fight, the worse it is. Keep that turn going. Nice and easy. Yep. Back up a little bit. Back up that way towards her. Keep going. Back up. There she is. Ooh, nice fish. There you have it. This fish looks pretty subdued. We're still going to take our time. I'm not that excited yet because she's not in the boat. But this is the kind of stuff we do off Palm Beach. Obviously, swordfish is very good to eat. Whether we release them, catch them, I mean, we have charters that do nothing but strictly release fish. So obviously great table fare. You know, in the Palm Beaches here, there's restaurants all over that serve swordfish, and it's a worldwide caught fish. We're deciding to go home with some groceries, and we're gonna enjoy the heck out of it. We're gonna feed families, and it's gonna be awesome. Off of Palm Beach, bro. This is the kind of Jurassic Park stuff that lives out here. Woo! We did it, Bubba.
Nice one.
Wrap.
All right.
Thumbs up.